Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel, where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. Now this video I'm calling the false sense of security when you want to go back to the narcissist. And I actually was inspired, I wanted to cover a particular comment that came on the channel. So my glasses are on so I can read this to you first, and then I'm going to respond. So this comment is, your videos always get me thinking deeper about my values and beliefs. Lately I'm having trouble deciding whether to have a relationship with my father at all. I've been no contact for a few months, and over time I've noticed myself come to a softer standpoint about everything. I know that's just because I'm the type of person that always goes back to a default of a love frequency in my being, not a frequency of resentment, reservation and anger. It's hard to energetically keep with my decision to not communicate with him at all. I think this is why the narcissist targets us, because we are too loving for our own good sometimes. I know I'm projecting my kindness and love on him, but I don't know how to not do this. Could you talk a bit about this? I think it would be a fun topic. It's almost like I naturally see the world with so much love that it's hard to just pinch them out of that, even though I know at the core who they are and that they don't deserve it. I've been watching your videos weekly for months now, so I know very much who and what they are, but I'm still having trouble. Okay, let's go through this one, right? So, here's the thing. There's a reason that your soul knows why we've known to get these people out of our lives. There's a reason. When we separate, we're not in the pain of it in the same way. And we kind of go back to ruminating on what that role they play, like a father represents, some of the good times, because we're not in the pain anymore. And we could be under their psychic projection, which is a love bomb illusion. It's interesting that we say, like, I'm the type of person that likes to go back to a default of a love frequency, right? We all do. Not a frequency of resentment, reservation and anger. You see, we don't need, if we could learn this, it would be really important to us all. We don't need to be in anger and hate to make a decision to do what's right for us. You see, this is a misconception. And why you're finding it difficult to honour your own self and decision in this is because you feel like you've got to hate that person in order to keep... See, when you're angry with them, when they've hurt you, when there's an energetic charge around something they've done or said or made you feel, then it's easy to cut them out, right? But we're not meant to live there. So this question is more about, like, we develop and evolve when we can make decisions for our lives that are right for us in integrity with our soul, right? Without having to need to feel negative emotion. If it's only when we're triggered that we'll do what's right and aligned for us, then we're going to need people to push us to a level where there's only those emotions that are going to make us safe. So what I would recommend on this is to go back to reflection on why you made the decision, what your values are for your life. You are not required or supposed to live in a frequency of anger and resentment for these people. And if we only need it to be at a point where we're so exasperated, we will get rid of people that should not be in our lives, we're going to keep going through trauma cycles. So what we've got to learn is alignment, right? So one way you can do this is to think about your life, think about your relationships, and think about what you desire to experience, right? You can go through your boundary. Sovereign does this as well. If you can come in, please do. It will really help you with this. But like, you know, boundaries and standards and values, what does that look like? Well, for me, it looks like when I think about what I want to experience in my life, for example, I would say in my friendships, I want friends that, you know, kind of will give and take in the same way, where there's a balance of give and take, yeah, that feels reciprocal, that feels like we honour each other, right? So a boundary that we have, so boundaries are not theories. They're not threats. You don't threaten a boundary. A boundary, and I teach this in Sovereign, please come in if you can, is a deal breaker. A boundary will have been eroded with narcissists, by the way, but a boundary could be something like, I will not accept physical violence. I will not accept, if you're a monogamous person, I will only accept monogamy. If that boundary is crossed, see, if you have to speak to enforce a boundary, the behaviour has gone too far. In fact, if we would learn communication, which I can help you with, and again, in Sovereign we talk about, if you can learn communication on the onset, it really helps. It really helps, because then you know where you are and they know where they stand with you. A lot of these relationship issues we have are because we leave things to mystery, because we feel insecure, because we won't speak up, because we don't want to rock the boat, because we will not be strong enough, or we haven't spent the time, which is the work I do with people, to really get clarity on who we are, what we value, what our standards and boundaries are. Now, a boundary should be very few boundaries, really, because they're complete deal breakers. Standards, in what I teach, are what I'm working towards in my life. So one example I give in that program is like, for me, you know, if people are late for me all the time, that's not going to be great in my friendships, because I'm busy. You know, I want people to value my time. It's important. I don't want to sit and wait 30 minutes, 40 minutes for someone. I don't. And if I see that consecutively, I want to end a friendship. I'll just say, I can't meet you anymore because this is not right for me. But you see, what I don't want to do, for example, is say nothing, which a lot of us do, build up resentment, which is what I've been training on this morning in Sovereign, and then like build up resentment. Instead of saying to that friend, sit there, suffer, moan about it, complain about it, they show up late, it gets to the third or fourth time, I'm now really angry because what they don't know behind the scenes is maybe I cancelled my doctor's appointment or something else to be with them, and then they stood me up or were late again, and then I just cut them out with no explanation. This is for healthy people, this isn't for narcissists. So what I'm better to do, which I've done in my life and I continue to, is say to my friend, look, I understand that you have a problem being on time. Actually, I probably wouldn't say that. Some friends have said to me I've had a problem being on time. I generally say at the beginning, look, I have noticed that like the last few times we've met up, you've been quite late every time. I really can't deal with that because it messes up my schedule. I don't get a lot of free time. And even if I did, you know, or I value my free time, I would really appreciate it if we could be on time for each other, because I can't continue the way we've been going. So I'll give them my standard is we're on time. They might say, a friend has said to me before, I'm just a late person. And I've said to that friend, look, if you're not willing to do the work to be on time or set a later time, then I can't meet you anymore. I didn't drop my standard because they were just a late person. They have an opportunity to meet me though, because I communicate healthily and I don't back down on what's important to me. Otherwise, you could sit there and make it mean all these stories like, oh, they don't care about me. It might not mean that they're late. It doesn't mean she didn't care about me. It just meant she wasn't willing to do what it took to be on time. And it happened over enough time that it was too frustrating for me. And my standard is I'd only be friends with people and have meetings with them that can be predominantly on time, right? It's just something that I care about. There are some things that I don't care about. You know, some people get annoyed when people do things like chew gum. I don't care how much gum you chew, it doesn't annoy me. Being on time is very important to me. So I make sure I communicate it. I don't have many of those standards, but when I do, I stand by them, right? So you've got to remember why you've made your decision. What you want to experience with people in your life. What do I want to experience with my father? Now, you have every right to then go back and say, look, Dad, we haven't been talking. It's up to you. It's up to you if you want to just keep him up, no contact. You do not need to stay angry in order to do that, yeah? What you're worried about sometimes is that you'll go back into old habits. So you've got to make a sort of promise to yourself of what you will and won't accept. And then you can go back and say, look, Dad, this is what I would do. We haven't been speaking for a couple of months. The reason that I had to make that decision is this, this, and this. In order for us to have a continued relationship, this is what I would need to experience from you. If I can't experience that with you, then I'm out. I can't have the relationship. It's too upsetting for me. But if you are willing to meet me here and we can actually operate in these ways, then I'm prepared to meet up with you on these terms. That's what I would do about it. Communicate. We don't know how to communicate. That's what I'd say to this. I see the world with so much love, it's hard just to pinch them out of that. The world is full of love, but we're wasting our energy on people who can't give it a lot of the time. There are so many loving people on this channel. Read the comments. There are so many people that, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? How some people, narcissists, are so jealous and spiteful and angry about anything good in your life. And people who have sometimes been detonated, have hardly anything, want the best for each other, which is the people here. There is so much love in this world. There is so much love in real people's hearts. Real people's hearts. But you can't dig for gold in a place that's barren, right? And I gave an example in my last Sovereign Q&A about if you put a diamond worth millions of dollars in the dollar store, right? And nothing wrong with the dollar store, by the way, guys. I've got some great things from there in my time. I'm not against the dollar store, but I'm saying a diamond worth millions. If you just chucked that with the cheap crystals in the dollar store, people wouldn't probably recognize it was a diamond. They'd treat it like a cheap crystal because it's in the dollar store. They wouldn't know. In that environment, the diamond worth millions is treated like trash. Like it's worth $1, like it's worth nothing and just gets chucked aside. You put that diamond in Beverly Hills, it will be showcased in the most beautiful box because they know what a diamond looks like there. Some of the people in your life don't recognize your magic. Some of the people in your life won't value your heart. Some of the people in your life, doesn't matter how shiny you are, how magic you are, they will just tear you down because they're narcissists, and that means nothing to them. They'll treat you like a piece of trash or like you're worth $1. When actually you're worth everything with your heart, your gold, your magic. So be careful where you spend it because the environment you put yourself in matters. There are so many people on this planet that can give you love, and there are some people that definitely can't. So with those people, communicate well. Well, with everyone, communicate well, even with the gold dust. I communicate well with people on my terms. I tell people in my groups all the time what the rules are, all the time. And all I get met with, honestly, in this work is respect. And I respect people. I respect them enough to trust them enough to know that I'm coming from a good place, and they know that. I respect them enough that they'll feel my heart and know that I love them, and they do. And they often thank me when I put a boundary in because they know I live and breathe every single thing I teach. And it's nice to have it modeled to you sometimes, right? So there are plenty of people that will give you a fantastic life. Then there's also communication boundaries and things we need to do and be sovereign and own ourselves in. It can be a very positive conversation, right? So many relationships with healthy people die because we don't know how to communicate yet. So please, that's what I'd recommend you do. Thank you for this comment and question. It's an excellent one. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.